Coming up right now on Newsbeat, a former Vincennes police chief will get his day in court, and we'll tell you when. A new program that aims to reduce systematic trauma is underway in our community. And if you're hungry, the United Way is having its annual Chili Bowl tomorrow. We'll tell you where to bring your appetite. We'll have those stories and more right now on Newsbeat. A former Vincennes police chief will have his day in court next year. Good evening, I'm Parker Green.
And I'm Mal Chandler. According to online court documents, a jury trial is scheduled for Dusty Luking in March. Luking faces charges of theft, official misconduct of a public servant, and forgery. His charges stem from his time with the Vincennes Police Department. Before he resigned in 2019, authorities say he stole $35,000 from the police evidence while he was chief.
Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb said that Hoosiers with minor marijuana convictions would not be pardoned, even though President Biden has already decided to pardon thousands of Americans who have been convicted for simple possession of marijuana. Holcomb encouraged Biden to work with Congress, not around them, to discuss changes to the law federally, especially if he is requesting governors to overturn the work local prosecutors have done by simply enforcing the law. The pardon does not cover convictions for possession of other drugs or for charges relating to producing or possessing marijuana with an intent to distribute. On Monday, despite not supporting pardons, Holcomb did agree that low-level marijuana offenses should not serve as a life sentence after an individual has served their time.
Preventing adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, could reduce the number of adults with depression by 44%, according to the CDC. This is the mission for two Knox County residents. Bill Lawfer is the director of the SHAPE program in Vincennes. When students are suspended from schools in Knox County, instead of sending them home to hang out, they get sent to Lawfer. He helps them finish their homework and provides mentoring. Lawfer is working with Kelsey Carr with Children and Family Services to lower ACE scores. It's a tally of different types of abuse, neglect, and other things that would make for a rough childhood. The higher the score, the more likely a student will have behavior problems that follow them into adulthood. Lawfer and Carr have been traveling across the state, educating teachers, law enforcement, medical care providers, or anyone who has contact with children about how they can prevent further childhood trauma. They say it's important to remember to handle every child differently depending on what's going on in their life.
Unfortunately, we come from a background of everybody needs to be treated the exact same way in this cookie cutter way, and that's just not how it works. My stress and your stress, we could have the same stress number, we could have the same ACE number, but my stress could happen to me every single day for 18 years of my life. Yours could have happened 4 times in your life. You don't treat those same people the same way. You got to figure out what's going to work best for that child and then work with that child.
Reducing ACE scores lowers risk for diabetes, depression, and cancer in childhood. It also keeps trauma from being passed from one generation to the next.
Good Samaritan Hospital is helping people take charge of their health next month. In November, the hospital will offer 2 cancer screening events. The first is on November 3rd. The Breast Care Center will offer free mammograms. It's from 3:30 to 6 p.m. at Good Samaritan. In order to participate, you have to call the Breast Care Center at 812-885-3627 to see if you are eligible.
The YMCA of Vincennes says numbers for its public transportation system are getting back to its pre-COVID levels. YMCA CEO Pat Herman shared this update at the Knox County Commissioners meeting Tuesday night. He says right now the public transportation service Van Gogh is averaging about 320 riders a day. This comes after Van Gogh suffered a decline during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, things are looking up. Herman says the buses are getting a little makeover featuring new designs. Crews are taking the buses out of service one at a time to make this happen. Herman also says officials are in the process of ordering brand new buses, but right now there's no timeline for when new buses will come in.
This Saturday is the second and last large item disposal days in Vincennes. The city of Vincennes has again teamed up with Republic Services to give Vincennes citizens a chance to get rid of large unwanted items. Those items include things that don't fit in trash bags like furniture, mattresses, large toys, and appliances that don't contain Freon. Carpeting is accepted if it's tied in 3-foot bundles. Not accepted is construction debris, building materials, tires, paint, liquid, electronics, and hazardous waste. The large item disposal day is this Saturday from 8 to 11:30 a.m. at Republic on 2nd Street. A photo ID with an address is required for proof of residency in Vincennes.
Ghosts, goblins, and haunted sightings were the topic of a ghost walk through downtown Vincennes last Friday. The ghost walk consisted of several eerie spots here in historic downtown Vincennes, which featured local ghost stories as well as stories from across the state. One of the tour guides for the walk, Katie Beal, says it was fun to be part of this event.
I really like anything spooky or haunted, so when they told me that I could basically help plan this kind of stuff, I was really excited to do it, and I already know a lot of the ghost stories, so it was real easy to get everything together.
Well, another haunted story from our viewing area takes us up north to Clay County. VU Broadcasting's Dalton Ewer takes us to 100 Steps Cemetery.
Cloverland Cemetery of Staunton, Indiana, was established around the time of the Civil War. It has since earned the name of 100 Steps Cemetery and the title of Indiana's most haunted cemetery. Area resident Michelle Chandler told us about the legends surrounding the cemetery.
Well, there's a couple different legends about it. One is that you could walk up the steps and count the steps, and you would count 100 of them. And if you counted or walked down them and counted, you either counted 99 or 100. If you counted 99, the last step was the step to hell. And if you counted 100, then you were going to heaven.
These legends originated around the original 100 steps. Many believe that counting these steps on your way into the cemetery will grant you a vision of how you will die.
And there's also the legend of counting the steps when you come up, and then you'll see a vision right between the two trees, and that'll be how you're going to die if you count or go down and count 100 steps.
A popular retelling of these stories include the supposed witch that haunts the grounds. In the late 1800s, there was a woman whose body was snatched by grave robbers. The locals believe that she made herself disappear because she was a witch. Michelle elaborated on this tale.
And there was a local that was buried out here, and her father bought a different plot at another cemetery and went to dig her up a couple weeks later and have her moved. And her coffin was upside down and it was empty. And that's where the legend of the witch started.
The only way to get the truth about 100 Steps Cemetery is for you to venture up the staircase. That's all for this haunted legend. For VU Broadcasting, I'm Dalton Ewer.
The United Way will be hosting their annual Chili Bowl tomorrow evening. The Chili Bowl will boast over 20 different chilies to sample from. There will also be live music along with a beer garden and food trucks. It will all kick off at 4:30 at Patrick Henry Square in Vincennes. Tasting tickets cost $1 each, or 6 for $5, or 12 for $10. To support one of the chefs, you can text HEAT to 30306.
The Old Town Players will be back on stage this weekend for the final performances of their Halloween double feature. 10 Ways to Survive the Zombie Apocalypse and The Best Haunted House Ever will be performed Friday, Saturday at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 3 p.m. Tickets are $15 for adults, $12 for seniors, and students aged 12 through college. Those under age 12 are $5.
The Knox County Public Library is hosting a Fall Seed Jamboree Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Activities will include pumpkin painting and pumpkin seed gathering, corn and bean shelling, as well as demonstrations including worm composting.
Food trucks will be back on the riverfront in Vincennes on Monday. The Halloween party will get underway at 5 p.m. with the costume contest registration happening 6 to 7 p.m. with several categories for all ages, and even a Best Pet costume category. Special live music will be featured, as well as the 9 food trucks who will be open for business. This will be the last food truck event in downtown Vincennes for the year.
Internships create great professional experiences for college students. And Vincennes University's Career Center is doing its part to connect students to such opportunities. An internship fair was held at Jefferson Union on the Vincennes campus earlier today. More than 40 companies and businesses were on hand, ready to offer students internships that would start immediately, next semester, or even next summer. Students were encouraged to bring their resume in order to make connections that can help them secure their next professional experience.
Some classic films will be shown over the next year in Vincennes. The Red Skelton Museum of American Comedy on the VU campus will be highlighting comedy movies that have won or were nominated for Academy Awards. Museum curator Mark Kratzner says the new film series called Oscar Laughs starts this Tuesday.
We're trying to show that, try to recognize comedy films that have an Oscar connection. It's going to be year-round showing the fourth Tuesday of each month, and we're going to start it off October 25th with a little kickoff with the trailers of the films that are going to be shown, and going to talk about the comedy and Oscars. And then every month, like I said, we're going to be showing films, going to go by decade.
The films will start with the 1930s and lead up to a modern year films. Admission for the films will be free. However, limited seating inside the museum's movie theater requires folks to register in order to attend.
And that's all for this edition of Newsbeat. For everyone here at Vincennes University Broadcasting, I'm Mal Chandler.
And I'm Parker Green. A brand new Sports Buzz is coming right up. We'll see you again next week.